Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Berikut kita akan saksikan seorang mahasiswa bertanya terkait dengan bahasa Melayu, rumpun Melayu kepada Pak Anies Baswedan, bagaimana kedudukan bahasa Melayu di wilayah ASEAN ini. Dan jawaban Anies, Masya Allah, mengejutkan.
Right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Mahfud Ipan Hussein. Um, I'm a student of IIM University. So my question is, firstly, I'm really honored to attend to your session today. And interestingly, you did mention several times about Gotong Royong, or togetherness in the Southeast Asia, especially in Indonesia. So based on your leadership experience as the governor of the biggest city in Jakarta, in Indonesia, especially Jakarta, have you experienced to solve any horizontal conflicts, especially the conflicts regarding religions and politics? So what is your best suggestions and solutions to solve the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine right now? It's the first questions. The second question is, in your mind, what is the best things that an ideal nation and ideal people must do to achieve the sustainability and also wealth, as you mentioned before? Thank you.
The second question, would you repeat?
Okay. It's about sustainability and wealth. So what are the things that an ideal people and ideal nations must do to achieve sustainability and wealth? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let us proceed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum Pak Anies. As what you mentioned before, the Malay language is similar to Indonesian language. So I think without a translator we can understand each other. So can I proceed my question with bahasa?
There is non-Malay in attendance here.
So with English then.
Pak Anies asked you to ask the question in English then, to the benefit of the other audience.
Okay. So I would like to ask regarding the language of Malay. What is your opinion if this language became the official language of ASEAN beside English? Because I think this language is spoken in Malaysia, southern Thailand, and some part of Indonesia. So what do you think if this language became the official language of ASEAN? Thank you.
Namanya apa?
Azam Kasubah.
Okay. Yes, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Safa Basyarahil, and I'm second year student from IIUM, and I'm from Indonesia. So I want to ask, maybe for some people...
Could you come closer to the mic?
Maybe for some people this is an easy question to answer, but for us as a student, maybe we need a very good and clear answer. If you say that by building trust, we can create a peaceful region. In line with the theme of our event, I would like to ask, how can we as students create similar trust in positive attempt or association that there we encounter various beliefs in action? I seek your opinion. In your view, is it prevailable to establish an association with a singular path, but fewer members and just stop there, or continue to get people on our side, but even though it demands significant energy and a prolonged effort to build a more inclusive community with us?
So basically it's about how to build trust.
Yes, but I asked for Is it preferable to establish an association with a singular path, but fewer members and just stop there?
Yeah.
Or continue to get people on our side, but it hard and demands significant energy and a prolonged effort to build a more inclusive community with us. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
It's very clear. Okay, can we have next?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Wadita Surya Putri from Indonesia, and I just doing exchange student in IIUM.
Come closer a bit, sister.
So my question is about the sustainable development. I think sometimes the effort to develop the economy value work clash with the interest within the society. And you said before earlier that one of our roots is environmental is essential. And my question is, what is the best way to create harmonization between environment and economy issue based on your experience? Based on your experience as a governor of Jakarta. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, can we have last?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Shahbuddin Mun. I'm a political analyst, and at the same time, I'm the chairman of the Political Bureau and Leadership Bureau of Majlis Perundingan Melayu Malaysia. It's a Malay Consultative Council of Malaysia. So, in fact, when I'm a political analyst, I engage to your Excellency videos all the way before I sleep, because after all, His Excellency is fighting for a very important position in Indonesia. So I know that you are very popular with the youth in Indonesia. So now I have seen right in front of me. So you are my idol too. Yeah, most of your thinking has gone into my writing style. So what I'm going to say today, assuming His Excellency you win this coming presidential election in Indonesia. So this is a time, I believe, from my own personal research, that a leader like you, the leader who have the Islamic, more or less, portray that what happened to this country, the Islamist party passed, is more or less come to the majority supported by our Malaysia and Indonesia. I believe the same trend will be in your favor, inshallah. So means I've seen your short lecture with a very wide topic of Malay civilization, all that, and I more wanted to know. What happened is, God will, you become the president of Indonesia, and our beloved Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who is my idol too. And I think both of you has got certain chemistry here. What sort of cooperation now, there are a lot of economics, all that. What is the future? You're talking about AI, and all various cooperation and relationship. So this is what I would like to explore. Thank you, His Excellency.
Some of these important questions. First, with regard to Gotong Royong, have you experienced the method of using Gotong Royong in solving problems? Yes. Alhamdulillah, Gotong Royong is our roots in Southeast Asia. And the modern terms is collaboration, the work together. And we actually declared Jakarta as a city of collaborations. And when we solved problems of our traffic, Jakarta was famous for being heavy traffic congestions. When I stepped into office, Jakarta was ranked fourth most congested city in the world. Not bad. When you're number 4, I mean, what can you expect when you're number 4 in the world? So you step into that office, and so our idea was to transform our citizens from taking private vehicles into public transport. But we have more than 25 operators of public transport across the city. So I invited them for a meeting, all these operators, and I share with them the idea of Gotong Royong. Let's solve this problem together. We will shift the way we manage public transport. In the past, the public were using public transport, then they have transaction. So you pay to the microbuses, and the microbuses will give you services. And we told them we're going to change this. The public is paying to us. You can take public transport for 3 hours at no additional cost, and you can move any public transport with single tickets. And then we pay these operators based on kilometers. So they don't have to rely on how many passengers in their microbuses, because we will pay them based on kilometers, not based on numbers of passengers. So they don't have to wait in a certain corner of the street waiting for passengers. They just have to circle the routes. So we changed the equations. We talked to everyone. At first, it was one of the most difficult meetings we had. The most heated meeting I ever experienced, actually, when I meet with all these operators. And they were saying, the government is never fair. You are operators and you are regulators, and you have conflict of interest, and we have all these, sharp words to us. And I was new governor, so they were talking about government in general. So we shared our plan, talked with them. Meetings took place more than 70 times to reach agreement on the rates. It is a long process. It is a collaborative process. But at the end, we reach agreement, we move forward, and then we're able to double coverage of public transport in Jakarta from 42% of area of Jakarta into 87% in 4 years. And we tripled ridership from 350,000 passengers per day into 1 million passengers per day. Why? Because all these operators were integrated into a Gotong Royong system together. So Jakarta ranked number 4 most congested city. The following year, we dropped to number 7. The following year, we dropped to number 10. Okay? But we're still on the top 10. You want to be on the top 10, but not on traffic congestions. You want to be in the top 10 for something else. But in the third year, we dropped to number 34. And then we were dropped to number... And that's not the end of the story. When we dropped to number 46 in the following years. So imagine, from the 4th most congested city into number 46. We are much better than Tokyo actually now. Yeah. And how that is done is not by us giving instruction. It's by Suro. It's by Gotong Royong. It's by collaboration. Is the process speediest? No. More than 70 meetings. Can you imagine? 70 meetings, intensive meetings, sometimes heated. However, those are in a private conversations. All these differences until we reach agreement. And once we reach agreement, then we move forward. So we had that experience. And with regard to religious affair, the same thing. Sometimes we have issues of permits to build churches. Sometimes we have issues of permits to build mosques in Jakarta. And when you face that challenge, you don't go out to public and announce. You invite all related party, sit down together, and share what is your thought, what should be the guiding principles, and openly talk about it. I remember having conversations with communities that rejected a permit for a mosque. Imagine in Jakarta, there's a community that say no to a masjid. Okay, you talk to them, discuss with them openly. But on the other hand, I'm also meeting the Muslim neighborhood who said no to permits for church. You talk to them, explain openly, explain the rules and regulations openly, hide nothing, and tell them why it is important that everyone to uphold the values that I have been echoing over and over again. The principle of equality, the principle of justice. When you talk about that principles, it's a lot easier for everyone. I ask these simple questions. Do you ever read on your WhatsApp group or your Facebook stories about our fellow Muslims in UK, in Germany, feeling grateful that they finally have masjid for them to pray? And for many, many years, we often heard difficulties of Muslims as minorities in other places to have place of worship, masjid. Imagine in Jakarta, there is that story spreading on the other side of the world that the Catholics or the Christian unable to build churches here in their land. We are happy when the Muslims get the masjid in Europe. We should be grateful to allow our fellow Christians and Catholic to have churches in this land as a spirit of justice and tolerance. But again, Surah, the spirit of Gotong Royong. So we had that experience. Now, with regard to using Bahasa as ASEAN language, we need to enrich our language to begin with. I don't know how many words in Malay today. How many words of Malay? The number of words in the Malay language. How many? Anyone? In Bahasa Indonesia, we have 150,000 words in Bahasa Indonesia. And I remember when I started my job as Minister of Education, at that time it was only around 90,000. So I told our team, we need to enrich our language because 90,000 is not enough. Do you know how many words in the language, in English language? 1 million. And 7,000 additional words every year. How many languages in Arabic? 12.7 million words. Okay? So when you talk about our language becoming a language of international community, you really need to do our homework, enrich our language. How do we enrich our language? Absorb local language across the archipelago. Across the archipelago. Because in many local languages, even the word falling, it can be 20 words of falling. If you fall to the front, that's a different word. If you fall to the back, that's a different word. If you fall because it's slippery, that's a different word. And if you fall because there is a hole, it's a different word. What I'm saying is that, richness of a language is important when you present it to the international community as an international language. So that is why it's important for us here in Indonesia and Malaysia to continue enriching our language so that we can stand up in the international community and presenting our language to the world. But if we haven't done our homework, wait a minute, okay? Hold on. So do our homework. Now, harmonizations of economy and ecology. This is something that we need to look at it beyond profit, but benefit. If you look at simply from the perspective of cost and benefit, then investing in environmental friendly approaches often being seen as expensive. That's why we need to view our expenses with regard to environment not as costs, but as investment. If we see this as costs, then we try to minimize the cost at the expense of ecology. But if we look at it as investment, then we are talking about the benefit that we may be getting in the futures. And that's how we change the equation. So the triple P, which has been popular in the past decades, profit, people, planets, it's an equations that we need to put together and seeing this as creating benefits. Now, visions of Indonesia and Malaysia, these last questions with regard to the presidential election in Indonesia, as well as here in Malaysia with Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, who is now the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Pak Anwar Ibrahim is an inspiration to so many of us. Needless to say, he is an inspiration. And for myself too, he was leaders of students, leaders of youth of Malaysia, and his stories were also all over Indonesia. So we follow through, and we're very proud of him and his leadership. And now, Indonesia is undergoing a transformations in the past 25 years. We had reform in '98, and after 25 years of reform, we are seeing new generations coming up. And the way I look at this is this. This is two nations that has populations of Muslims in large numbers and practice democracy, and generally speaking, practice tolerance. And yet, this is also a region in which prosperity a presence. And I cannot think of other word except continuing the path of creating justice to all, so that this transformation continue. When we talk about Indonesia, for example, I think Malaysia the same thing. We and the rest of the world, modern world, we are seeing that the gap between modern industrialized nations with us is narrowing. The gap is narrowing. So cities like KL, Tokyo, London, Amsterdam, the difference was not as wide as it used to be in the 70s or 80s. Now the gap is narrowing. But on the other hand, the gap within countries are widening. So the gap between Jakarta and our remote area and our smaller cities are now widening. This is the challenge for future leadership. If we are able to address this issue and spread equal opportunity, I think the world can look at us here in Southeast Asia, and we will be able to go out there and say, this is a nation, this is two nations who have Muslim majority population, practicing democracy, delivering equality, common prosperity, something that the world should look at us as an example. This is not only regions that went through democratizations, but this is regions where democracy delivers. And we all know that we have been given the positions of Khalifah that create sort of equilibrium, the feeling of balances. And I think that is something that we'd like to share with the rest of the world. So pray for us that inshallah in our elections, that spirit can win the hearts and minds of the people of Indonesia. And if we are able to do that, inshallah, we'd like to see, if I may put it this way, that Indonesia officially and technically is not a Muslim state. It's not an Islamic state. It is not a secular state either. For the lack of better terms in political science, it is a Pancasila state, a non-religious base. However, it values, it respects, and it absorbs religious values. So on that sense, it is more on the maqasid principle of Sharia that is being practiced. If we are able to deliver the purpose, the ultimate purpose of Sharia, then it's not so much an Islamic state, or even we rarely talk about Muslim majority, because this is a country of all ethnics, of all groups, and diversity is part of us. And I think if we are able to deliver that, inshallah, we will send a very positive message across the globe, and to undo some of the framings or perceptions out there that in a Muslim majority nations, true democracy cannot prevail. Malaysia and Indonesia have, and also perhaps Turkey, have shown to the world that we are able to practice democracy. Democracy delivers, harmony is present. So that's a message for everyone. Terima kasih.
ASEAN memang sebuah negara yang cukup besar, bahkan di sini terdapat rumpun Melayu sebagai mayoritas, dan khususnya Indonesia, Malaysia sebagai negara Muslim, Brunei Darussalam. Dan ini kita sudah dengarkan bagaimana gagasan Pak Anies ini tentang bahasa Melayu dijadikan bahasa persatuan di ASEAN ini. Saya rasa jika kedepannya Pak Anies ini diberikan takdir oleh Tuhan Yang Maha Esa memimpin Republik ini, saya rasa memang bahasa Melayu ini akan menjadi bahasa pemersatu di kawasan ini, karena memang sebagai rumpun Melayu adalah mayoritas, sehingga seharusnya menjadi ciri khas kebanggaan orang Asia Tenggara untuk menjadikan bahasa ini sebagai jembatan komunikasi di dunia internasional. Apalagi kita sebagai negara Muslim, mayoritas Muslim di sini, tentu bahasa ini saatnya punya pengaruh di dunia global, bahwa jika ingin melihat Muslim ini loh ada di bangsa Melayu. Selama ini Barat dan juga Eropa terus mengirimkan propaganda bahwa Islam adalah agama yang menghambat sebuah kemajuan. Islam adalah agama yang syarat radikal, di dalamnya banyak dalam tanda kutip teroris. Itulah propaganda Barat beberapa dekade terakhir, sehingga disinilah saatnya bangsa Melayu membangkit dan memberikan sebuah contoh kepada dunia internasional bahwa inilah Islam yang rahmatan lil alamin.